We have been a SAP partner for over 30 years and support more than 1,300 customers. Today, we will show you how invoices that arrive by email are processed automatically without you having to type anything manually. We will show you the 3 types of invoices. The first one is PDF invoice, a normal invoice as a PDF attachment. The second one is ZUGFeRD invoice, a PDF invoice with invisible additional data inside. And the third one is XRechnung invoice, an invoice purely as a data record without a PDF view. So let's now see how the invoice enter to the system. There are 3 simple ways an invoice can move from your email inbox into the system. You can choose the appropriate method depending on your situation. The first method, it is drag and drop. You open the email and click the invoice so we can see if everything is correct. Yes, from my side, the invoice looks very good and everything seems to be correct. So I can minimize the file, and the next step is simply to drag and drop the invoice file into the specific folder where it can be picked up and further processed by the system. The system immediately recognizes the file and automatically starts processing it. This is the right method when you receive individual invoices and want to briefly check the document before continuing with the automated processing. Now, let's take a look at the second method, which is simply to forward the email directly to the system. So let's open an email that contains several invoices attached and see how the system will recognize the documents. If you receive several invoices in one email, you need to simply click forward. And then we simply send the email with all the attached invoices directly to the dedicated Fix-It system address, where the email and all included documents are automatically received, recognized, and prepared for further processing by the system. The system then extracts all invoices from the email and also stores the entire email so you can always access the original message. This is the right method when you multiply the invoices are attached to the one email, and you also want to achieve the email itself. And now the last method is the fixed address for a supplier. For example, if a supplier regularly sends you invoices in the same format, they can send them directly to the fixed system address. Everything runs automatically without you sending the email in advance. So this is the 3 methods, but in the beginning, we talk about the 2 different invoices, ZUGFeRD and XRechnung. So let's go back and send them directly to the system. There is no difference between the other invoices, but they have one specific things that we need to know about them. So, let's now send the invoice by simply forwarding the email directly to the system so that it can be automatically received and processed. The first one is ZUGFeRD and the second one is XRechnung, which we can send very quickly using the fixed email address, and the invoice are sent. So, the main difference with PDF invoices is that a visual pre-check is not necessary, because the system automatically validates the invoices and checks whether the required information is correct and complete. I will show you how this process works in more detail in the next steps of this presentation. So, where do I find my invoices again? All incoming invoices are clearly organized in one place in SAP. I need to go in SAP and especially in the File Cockpit area. I will open the cockpit, and here is the first window, which is the filter of the system. So I only need to select the scanning date, which is today, and then click on the filter button to display the invoices that were received and processed on this date. So in our example, we see 5 invoices. The first file that we sent with drag and drop, the other 2 PDF files we detached in one email, which are here, and the other 2 emails, which the first one was XRechnung, and the other one is ZUGFeRD. Each invoice automatically receives a barcode. Let me show you the barcode. This allows the system to uniquely identify and track every invoice throughout the entire process, similar to using a file reference number for each individual document. Now, Let's take a look how we can process an invoice step by step using our biz²DocumentControl solution. We need only to click on this invoice and directly will open the biz²DocumentControl. Here is the application and the invoices that was drag and drop into the system. So here we can see the scanned invoices. More importantly, the system has used OCR to automatically extract all the relevant information from the document. For example, it has read the invoice number, let me show you, the invoice data, the total amount, the all other important data. The next step is to carefully check whether all the relevant information from the invoice has been extracted correctly by the system, and to make sure that all the required data is complete, accurate, and ready for the next step of the process. If everything looks good and all the information has been checked and confirmed, we can continue with the next step and proceed with posting the invoice in the system. Well, let's post the invoice. So we need to go to the next step, and the easiest way is by using drag and drop. We simply select the recognized invoice items, drag them to the corresponding area, and drop them there. Here we can do that very easily. The next step is to assign the invoice items to the correct accounting object. In this example, I'll assign it to the cost center. I will need to double-click on that, and immediately there is open a new window to select the proper cost center. I select the number of the specific cost center where we want to allocate the amount of the invoice. If everything is correct and the selected cost center is the one we want to use, I simply click OK. The system then confirms the selection, and this field will turn green, indicating that the information has been successfully entered, checked, and accepted by the system. So now, we have successfully completed the first two steps of the process, reading and extracting the relevant information from the invoice and the posting process. The next step is comments. Let's go there. Here we can add the comments that will automatically be shown to the next user who will process the invoice. We will only demonstrate this to you briefly, as this topic is covered in a separate video. Now we will move to the final step with approvals. That this topic is also covered in a separate presentation. The approval workflow can be fully adapted to your company structure and approval process. For this demonstration, we will assume that I have full authorization, so I can approve the invoice throughout all approval steps myself. Let's do that. Clicking by every square and the process is almost done. The only thing that we need to do is clicking here, and the process is finalized. We would be happy to show you how the approval process works in your company in a dedicated presentation. Now we are going to the first special case. The special case is the XRechnung invoice. So before we go there, I just want to show you something very interesting. When you click here on the table, this is the invoices that we sent it by email with using the specific email address. A window opens automatically, and you can display directly the invoice, or if you click here, you can display the email. That means that's no longer needed to search everything related to the invoice. It's stored in one central place directly in SAP, which means that all the relevant invoice information and documents are kept together and can be easily accessed and managed whenever needed. So, let's go to the invoice right now. We double-click, I already did that, and I need to go to the biz²DocumentControl and see the invoice. An XRechnung is not a file you can view. It is purely a data record. To ensure nothing is lost and you can feel confident, the system automatically checks every XRechnung according to a fixed European standard, EN 16931. If everything is correct, the invoice continues through the workflow just like a normal PDF invoice. Additionally, by clicking on the attachments, the system provides a reliable view of the invoice, the original email, the original file, and a log showing which data was extracted and from where. In short, it looks like different from the PDF invoice, but it is processed just as reliably and transparently. And we can also see that the invoice has been successfully validated by the system, which means that all the necessary checks have already been completed and no further action is required from our side at this moment. So we can simply continue with the process and proceed to the next step, which is posting the invoice. Okay, this was the first special case. So now let's go to the second special case, which is ZUGFeRD invoice. So here we can see the ZUGFeRD invoice, which is different from the XRechnung format. A ZUGFeRD invoice is essentially a normal PDF invoice that also contains an invisible embedded data record inside the document. This means you can still view and read the invoice as usual, while the system automatically reads and processes the embedded data in the background. At the same time, the system checks whether all the information is structured correctly and verifies if everything is in the expected format. And now let me go to the attachments and open the file directly to see what the result was. As we can see, the invoice is not accepted. The supplier automatically receives a message explaining exactly what was incorrect, and the supplier can correct the issue and resend the invoice. For you, this means fewer questions and follow-ups, fewer errors during the process, and a more reliable, transparent, and efficient collaboration with your suppliers, giving you greater confidence and better control over the entire process. Over 240,000 users worldwide already rely on inPuncto. Book your free initial consultation now. Contact at inpuncto.com or visit us on inpuncto.com. Are you ready to optimize your SAP process? Join our success. Benefit from our experience. Contact us today. You will find a link to our website and more detailed information in the description below.